Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. My name is Steve Smith, and I'm your host, and this is a new episode of Dint Golf Solutions Walking the Fairways. Ladies and gentlemen, Walking the Fairways segment of the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast is, of course, proudly brought to you by Dint Golf Solutions. They're fantastic partners of the podcast. Now, just a reminder for those of you who aren't sure who Dint Golf Solutions are, here's a little brief one for you. They're an Australian family-owned company that's now into its fourth generation of family ownership and reaching nearly an incredible 100 years old. Now, they've become the leading supplier of golf course maintenance equipment, coring tines, course hardware, and signage to Australian golf courses. And as a company, they also continue to grow beyond our local shores to supply golf courses in other countries such as New Zealand, Singapore, Qatar, USA, and Canada, to name just a few. Now, it's gearing up quickly for that time of the year again, renovations time, and it will be here before you know it, ladies and gentlemen. So you've got to make sure that you are ready to go with the right tines for the job, and that is the latest Dynamite Hollow tines available through Dint Golf Solutions. They also have their wide range of other tines, including the sensational Connie Spoon tapered tines, and also the Long Life Tiny Tines. The Dint team are ready to supply you with the right tines you need for your renovations. You can also effortlessly order straight through their fantastic website at your convenience, which is amazing stuff. Now, don't stuff around with all this and don't sit there and think about it. You just got to get ready and be prepared with the right tines for your renos and get them through Dint Golf Solutions, ladies and gentlemen. I've got to keep reminding you about the tines that are available through these guys. They are just sensational stuff, and I got to see them firsthand at the ASTMA Turf Conference this year in Sydney at the trade show. They had all the different ones available there, and you could really get a good look at just what they're made of, the steel. It's incredible stuff that they are. They're just unbelievable tines, these ones. So get in touch with the team at Dint Golf Solutions. Make sure you check out their website at dint.com.au and get in touch with them, like I said. And don't forget to follow them on Instagram at dint.golf.solutions and their Facebook page at Dint Golf Solutions. So there's no point thinking any longer. Just get in touch with Dint Golf Solutions. They will be able to help you be ready for renos time. And without further ado, this is episode number 136. Now, Walking the Fairways on this episode, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start in New Zealand because there's some pretty amazing news coming from New Zealand, and that is that Superintendent John Spraggs has been honoured by the New Zealand Golf Course Superintendents Association as a life member. John is only the 11th superintendent to receive the honour in its 85-year history, notching up 20 years most recently as Superintendent of Royal Wellington Golf Club. A huge congratulations to John Spraggs. Now, you may recall I have interviewed one of John's sons, Mark Spraggs, recently on Keeper of the Green segment. And if you haven't heard that one yet, I urge you to go back a few episodes to listen to Mark's story. And I recently personally met John myself for the first time at the ASTMA Conference Gala Dinner evening in Sydney at the conference there at the awards ceremony. And that was my brush with New Zealand greenkeeping royalty, as it turns out. And I didn't know it, although Martin Black, who introduced us, basically said to me that John was New Zealand royalty, and as it turns out, he's been honoured in such a regard as well. So a big congratulations to John Spraggs and a very, very big moment in New Zealand greenkeeping history. Now we come back to Australia, ladies and gentlemen, to South Australia, and we're going to South Lakes Golf Club, located at the beautiful seaside township of Goolwa, about an hour's drive south of Adelaide. Now, Goolwa is probably better known throughout Australia as being the town right near the mouth of the mighty Murray River. So some of you might know that name from that association. And at South Lakes, look, they've been very busy working through stage 1 of their course redevelopment works. Most recently, they've been working on their 14th and 15th holes. New green complexes being built, bunkers being built, tees being rebuilt also, new irrigation going in. It's all happening at South Lakes Golf Club at the moment. They're also rebuilding their practice putting and chipping greens, and there's a new mini golf course currently being built. It is just phenomenal what's happening at South Lakes. Huge stuff going on, and a shout out to Superintendent Jordan Sherratt and also to Club Manager Chris Bailey, both of whom I met, I'm pretty sure it was at the Brisbane conference now a year and a bit ago. Now, I do know Chris Bailey He used to be working at Hamilton Island Golf Club back in the day, and I used to see Chris every year when we would go. Bree and I would go up to Hamilton Island for holidays and play. I'd get out there and we'd play golf, or we'd do lunch at the golf club, and I'd see Chris in the club there and say good day every time we'd come through. But that was life before kids, of course, and Chris has now obviously moved to managing the club there at South Lakes Golf Club. It's so good to see a club like this doing so well and investing so much in their golf course. Great to hear, and very, very exciting for not only South Lakes but also Goolwa as a town. And if you do get the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, you should take it to visit Goolwa. It's in a lovely part of our country. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going straight and getting info straight from the horse's mouth here, and we're going down into ACT, the Australian Capital Territory, to Federal Golf Club, and I've got joining me Superintendent Pete Dunn from Federal. G'day, Pete. How are you?
Hey, Steve. How you going, mate?
Good, thank you, mate. We were just briefly chatting before we hit record here. It's been a bit fresh for you guys down there in Canberra this winter, a proper winter for a change.
Yeah, mate. We've had it's been probably 4 or 5 years since we've had a winter like this. So it's the -5s and 6s are wearing thin. So just looking at the forecast for the rest of the week, and I think the warmest morning we got -3 in the next 5 days. So
wow, that's wild.
Yeah, that'll be nice and fun, mate.
It's unbelievable. Most people can't comprehend those sorts of temperatures, and it has its own challenges. There's no doubt about it. Mate, wanted to get you on the pod. I've been reporting a little bit from time to time that you guys are ticking through some projects as you have done over the last, I don't know, maybe 6 months, I suppose, or even a little bit more. You've done some bunker work around some greens and some green adjustments, some tee work. Can you run through us a little bit of what you've been up to there and what you're trying to achieve with those works?
Yeah, mate. Just so we've got some pretty old bunkers here. We've sort of got 2 styles of bunkers on course. Well, 3 now. So we've got the original clay-shaped bunkers from sort of the 1950s when the course was sort of turned into 18 holes proper. They did a sort of 9-hole redevelopment early 2000s and went with a cloth liner. And just been having dramas with cloth liner like most people are. I think after sort of 20 years they run its course and start tearing, and you're chasing them with pins and always having dramas. And so the club's committed with the part of the redevelopment and the Craft and Mogford enhancement plan. We're going to use capillary bunkers.
Okay.
So we're slowly starting to tick through that. So we've done 2 stages now, 6 holes in total. So
wow,
been a busy sort of couple of months on top of day to day, and just the usual sort of issues that go with running a golf course.
Yeah, that's it, mate. It can be quite intense when you're adding that stuff on top of the usual workload. But that we talked about the cold in winter, and in these parts of Australia, where you get a proper winter where the rest of the course shuts down, it allows you to kind of tick through things a little bit easier because you're not having to worry. There's still lots of mess to clean up when you get strong winds and that sort of stuff, I suppose, as well from memory. But good that you're still able to tick through. So what are you? I saw the third tee was something you'd recently done. Is that right?
Yeah, so we're obviously pretty busy like most clubs, and we've got some small tee boxes from the original sort of design when we weren't doing as many rounds as we currently do. So sort of got sick of chasing it with divot mix this time of year. We were just getting nowhere. It was almost back to bare dirt. So we just got in, ripped the top off it, just re-turfed that one. So that wasn't anything too major. But massive improvement, obviously. Just big day. Doesn't sound like much, but 300 squares cut, lifted, removed, and relayed in a day all by hand.
Well,
it's
and
pretty hard. So
that's exactly right. And is Cooch the same surface that you'll go down?
We just went ryegrass mix on that tee.
Okay. Yep.
It's in a shady corner. Obviously, we're moving everything over to Cooch, but we just this time of year we got no chance of getting it to bite in. So we were back playing on it within a week. So we had to go with the ryegrass until we can get some redevelopment happening and get our tee box up to a suitable size for the amount of rounds we're putting through.
Okay. Yeah, very good. Now, you mentioned Craft and Mogford there as part of the enhancement works for the course, and you're moving through that program of the overall course plan. Is that part of what this is? And I know that there's a development in part of that process. I don't know how that's going along and what you can or cannot share with that.
Yep. So we're just trying to get ahead of the development, I guess. We're still going through the approval process for the development, so that's taken a little bit of time, unfortunately. But yeah, just trying to compress what the development project will, like the time frame on that.
Okay.
So just trying to tie in the back nine. We have to do some bunker work. Like our bunkers are almost beyond repair in a few spots. And the members, we want a top level golf club, and we want to present something good to the members. So it's good to see some change. And once, apart from the overall work up front to get them done, once those new bunkers are in the maintenance, is probably 20% of what the current bunkers are taking off us. So it's been a massive improvement.
And that makes a big difference in day-to-day planning and week-to-week planning of your workloads, let alone if you get a storm or heavy rainfall periods, right? You don't need to worry about those. And we've seen lots of photos, lots of people have sent it around, and I've shared lots of stuff with the modern bunker liners, as I call them, because there's so many different particular products. But there's a lot of saved time in maintenance, isn't there?
Massive, mate. So we've had a few big storms the last probably 6 weeks. We have 53 bunkers on course, and the only ones that have been consistently in play with a quick touch up have been the all the new ones we put in. So we put in 12 in total in the last 2 stages. So a little bit of a blow and a rake, and we're good to go. But the other ones are requiring pumping out, if not staked for a couple of days until they drain. So it's a huge improvement for the staff and for the membership. They want to play golf on a full golf course every day of the week. So
yeah, 100%. And it's without being rude, that's what they're paying a membership for. That's what they're looking to and expecting to, and that's what people like yourself, a superintendent leading the team, and the golf course maintenance team, that's what you want to be able to provide at the end of the day. So as long as you've got the tools there available to allow you to do that, and in part, a lot of that's the way that golf bunkers are constructed in a modern world to allow for these quick turnarounds and proper maintenance without it being a major headache. These things help so much at the end of the day maintaining a golf course.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Even though we've designed the bunkers, we've gone with sort of the longer Santarana cooch lips.
Yep.
So we're eliminating all that sort of hard edging that you have to do with the snippers. So
even
jobs like that, we just go and fluff them up sort of twice a summer. Just sort of working out that sweet spot now with length and thickness to what looks really good and what's still sort of playable for the overall membership. But that's been massive. We've worked really well with Nathan Bradbury from Golf Spectrum. He's been doing all our shaping, so we've got a good relationship with him. We work with Neil Crafter as well, obviously. He's done the designs, but, sending photos back and forth, all that sort of stuff. This is what we're doing. This is what we think. Adjusting things on the ground has been really nice and worked really well for all the parties. So
that's good.
Pretty happy.
Great to hear. Great to get here. How's your spring lining up? Have you got projects leading into the growing season, or is that just really being ready for the turf maintenance side? What have you got ahead for you?
Probably like most blokes, always sort of pushing the agenda a little bit hard, biting off a bit more than you can chew sometimes, and then working it out on the fly. So,
what is it? I remember Peter Brock saying it was bite off more than you can chew and chew like hell.
Yeah, it sort of seems how I'm operating at the moment. Some days I'll sit there and go, why the hell did we try and take on as much as that? But once it's all done, apart from the stress at the time, once we're all done, it's pretty good. But so looking at our next stage of works, which hopefully to do a couple more holes and tying us some new tees and just a few bits and pieces like that this year. Nothing too major on the works agenda at this stage. And then just try and get a really good golf course out there for the membership through spring.
And
we sort of went a little bit late with our second stage of the work, so we were still turfing the week of Anzac Day. So we had a really, really warm autumn, which was fantastic, thankfully. Otherwise, we could have probably caught into some trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got it all down and it's sort of tied in okay, but just really trying to get those new surfaces really good and tied in for our club championships in October and just, see how we go.
I've got to ask, mate, how does the membership feel? Do you hear things? Are they excited about the improvements to the golf course? Because sometimes I wonder from the outside, and I talk about a lot of these works, what do you guys hear from within each of the clubs, like for you guys yourselves? Are the memberships excited about where the club's going? I hope that they are. Obviously, from a board level, they are. So what's the more broadly conversation and things that you're hearing?
Yeah, I think so, mate. The guys and girls I talk to are all happy to see some improvement and some moving forward for a change. Sort of like a lot of golf clubs pre-COVID sort of struggled, no secret financially to pay for capital works and things like that. So I think they're pretty happy to see some improvement now. The bunkers at Federal have always been a negative talking point, unfortunately, for as long as I've been around. And obviously it's a massive part of the game. It's a controversial part of the game. We talk about them as hazards, but everyone expects them to be perfect from hole 1 through hole 18.
The irony, right? The irony.
Yeah. That's sort of the way we're going and how golf sort of is going, I guess.
Mate, it's certainly great to hear that the course is moving forward. It's always had a wonderful name in Canberra, Federal Golf Club, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but I know we've chatted about me getting down there when I get the chance. I'm looking forward to doing that in the near future, and mate, it's exciting to hear that you're able to do it. The club's working with you, and you've got people like Craft and Mog for the design. You've got people like Nathan Bradbury from Golf Spectrum involved in construction. You guys are doing it right from the ground up, and you're converting it with the works that we're seeing on the ground. So, mate, Pete, it's great to hear from you from the inside, specifically what's going on, and I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on the pod, mate, and let everyone know what's happening and how you're improving.
No problem at all, Steve. Thanks for the call, mate. We'll catch up soon and come down when it warms up.
Absolutely. Thanks, Pete.
All right, see you, mate.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going up to the Sunshine State, also known as Queensland, and there's been a big announcement last week of the WPGA Championship and Festival of Golf to be held next year at Sanctuary Cove Golf and Country Club once again, and they've given us the dates with this announcement, and that's March 19 to 22. Now, you may recall that last year's inaugural event was cancelled at the very last minute due to Cyclone Alfred, which caused a great deal of havoc there in the southeast corner of Queensland on the Gold Coast and Brisbane. Lots more work has been completed on the Palms course under the design hand of Craft and Mogford and the supervision, of course, of Superintendent Cameron Smith. The Palms course is the course the event will be played on, and it's a co-sanctioned event with the WPGA Tour of Australasia, as I've mentioned, and the Ladies European Tour, the LET. This is a very, very exciting tournament, and hopefully we'll have no weather hiccups this time. One in a 50-year or whatever it is cyclone that had happened earlier this year. But I won't jinx it, so I'm not going to say anything else. But I'm really excited by this concept, by this WPGA Championship and the Festival of Golf combined. So keep an eye on it. They've got their own website, which is championship.wpga.org.au. That's where you can get a lot of the info and get an insight as to just what the way it's set up and it's planned and the way that, the sponsors and everyone that's involved. So that'll give you the information as we get closer to the date of next year. But a very, very exciting concept and a great addition to the Australian Summer of Golf, ladies and gentlemen, and one I'm very, very excited to be following. Now we move to New South Wales, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to go down to the south coast of New South Wales for something a little bit different, to Club Catalina at Bateman's Bay on the New South Wales South Coast. And they have recently put forward a new vision for the clubhouse and golf course. Now, if you don't know Club Catalina, they are a sensational club and they are a very big club in that part of New South Wales. Now, a new clubhouse is one thing, and there are a few clubs wanting to do some major clubhouse works, but it's the golf course that I'm interested in here, which is rather significant what they've got in mind. Now, the club is looking to add a new 20-bay driving range, and what looks like to me on the plans is also including a mini golf course as well. Now, that's not confirmed that I know of, but it's there in the plans that I can see. That's my own reading into it. I haven't heard anything specific about that just yet. But when you look at the plans, you can see it there that they've got an allocation for it. Now, those additions need land, and they will be chewing out some of the golf course land. That then requires adjustments to the golf course, and this is where I get excited to see who and what is planned for the golf course itself. Well, the course master plan has been completed by Clayton DeVries Pont and Cruise Golf. The pairing of these two companies is proving a good one, as I've previously mentioned some of the clubs they're consulting for in past episodes. Now, they've got some great adjustments to the course looking at this plan, and I really like it. And the club have laid out the timeline of works, which, for all intents and purposes, looks very achievable and not some pie-in-the-sky timeline. A very well thought-out plan indeed, in my opinion. I'll keep a close eye on this one for you and see how this progresses with Club Catalina, but this club is in great hands, not only internally with their visionary board, but also having engaged CDP and Cruise Golf for the layout and what I think is a fantastic master plan of the entire golf facility. So everything included, all the work's being redone. Looking at it on a plan, it looks fantastic. There's some great adjustments to the holes, and there'll be some new holes there in the routing of the golf course. It's still on the plan, is still 27 holes for those of you outside New South Wales or in other parts that don't know what Club Catalina's the course is like there. But it's a big course, and these works really are going to make some really fantastic golf holes out of it. So I look forward to following it, and a new clubhouse to boot. I mean, this is going to be a golf destination. More so than it already is. And it's a 2-hour drive from Canberra, from the nation's capital, down to the coast. So if you're basing yourself at Canberra and you've got a car and you're heading down that way, you can also include, and along with other golf courses down the South Coast as well, the South Coast in itself is a wonderful golf destination, but you can add it to the Canberra region if you like. So there's great facilities around, and Club Catalina are really setting themselves up for the next wave of success on top of their already incredibly well-established golf course. Now we go, ladies and gentlemen, to Victoria, to Strathallan Golf Club. Strathallan's a public 9-hole golf course, and I've got to give a shout-out to Superintendent Brett Stuser and also his young apprentice, first-year apprentice, Ella. Now, it was great to see the course whilst I'm here in Melbourne, and I'm recording this one while staying down here and doing a bit of work here in Melbourne. And it was great to get out there and see the golf course in person. Now, they've been super busy on course. They're doing a stack of drainage works, and that's including to the approach of the first green. There's also drainage works to the first greenside bunker at the front left of the green itself, and also the approach to the 8th green. They're doing some drainage works and recently completed some drainage works there, I should say. They're also at the beginnings of upgrading their 8th tee, and that includes them enlarging the teeing surface itself and making it all one level from a broken split level tee. So that'll make it a bigger teeing off area and much better to spread the wear around. Now, whilst they're on the 8th and doing that work, they're also upgrading the irrigation to the tee. So there's quite a bit happening at Strathallan. And chatting with Brett, they're a course that's doing what they can to try and improve and do as much as they can to make the course a better course. That's what's happening. They recently opened their 6th green, which is a fantastic addition to the golf course. They've adjusted their holes a little bit there through some boundary concerns that they had around the golf course. It's not uncommon on plenty of golf courses, and Strathallan, as it turns out, is no different. But there's lots of good things happening at Strathallan to improve, and I look forward. I'll be sharing it around when Brett sends me some photos in the growing season. So I've seen it now in wintertime, and when everything's dormant, the Cooch fairways are dormant, everything's not really growing as much, and still a great golf course to go and play, still a good routing with some good challenging holes there for beginner-level golfers as much as for the lower handicap golfers if you want to go and really test yourself. But it's a great little 9-holer. I really liked it. And like I said, I've got more to say on my new segment of the podcast coming out very soon on the road again. So lots of work, and I'll keep updating you about what's happening at Strathallan. Now, I also, whilst I'm down here in Melbourne, I also took the opportunity to go and visit Ranfurly Golf Club, and I've got to shout out to Superintendent Andrew Anderson for showing me around and giving me a bit of an insight into what they're up to on course there at Ranfurly. They're currently doing some work improving and rebuilding the bunkers on their 10th hole, which is great to see. And I've never seen the course before, so it was really nice to see the lay of the land. And again, as part of this trip to Melbourne, I've got a segment coming on where I'm going to detail the courses in much more detail of what I saw and what I gathered from seeing the courses in this trip down to Melbourne. But the 2 bunkers on the left-hand side were being rebuilt currently, and they look great. Fantastic shapes, great work, good craftsmanship going on in the building of those bunkers. So well done to the team on course at Ranfurly, and great to see the improvements happening. But I've got to say that Andrew, and this is just me speaking, I've got to be honest, and I love saying these things when I see them. Andrew is probably one of the most passionate superintendents that I've come across, and you've only got to speak to him to see he is all go and all in at Ranfurly, I'm here to tell you. Now, let me say this. Keep an eye on Ranfurly over the coming years. With Andrew as superintendent leading the fantastic greenkeeping team there at Ranfurly, and the attachment of Mike Clayton from CDP, that's Clayton DeVries Pont, advising the club and the golf course, I'm calling it early. This course is only going to improve and improve in a great way. Big vision from Andrew to raise the bar at Ranfurly, and I can see it in his eyes and I can hear it in his voice. He has got some serious passion behind him, and I can just tell through the work that they're doing now, the work that they've recently moved through, and what they're looking to improve in different areas and the turf surfaces and the way they're going about that. And, you know, Andrew is very knowledgeable. He's extremely knowledgeable, actually. Very knowledgeable is probably an understatement. And look, I don't even need to say any of this stuff. I don't know Andrew. I met him for the first time today, actually, this morning. And I was blown away. And I'll say these things when I see them and when I hear them because they're important to the clubs. When you come across someone like Andrew speaking the way that they do, it grabs your attention. And that's why I say watch Ranfurly, because they've got a very skilled operator as a superintendent in Andrew, and he will lead the team and bring out the passion that from not only what he's got and his drive, but that's bringing out the passion in the team as well. And I've seen that already just through the way that the bunkers were being rebuilt there on 10. So, yeah, I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away by the golf course. So there's a lot of combinations that are coming together for Ranfurly, and I'm really excited by it. And I was incredibly excited to see it today. So keep an eye on it. There's going to be a lot more to come from Ranfurly. Now we go over to Western Australia, ladies and gentlemen, to Sun City Country Club, located at Yanchep. It's nearly an hour's drive to the north of Perth City itself. And they've recently taken delivery of a couple of new greens mowers, and they're upping their maintenance game and securing the quality they want to move forward with delivering on the golf course. Now, I love to see a club investing in their delivery of quality on course, and machinery is a big part of that. So a shout out to Sun City Country Club in Western Australia, and a well done from me, because I will always mention these things when I hear about them, and I think it's important to talk about. Like I've said plenty of times in the past, machinery is something that sneaks up on you from time to time, and if you're just not planning for the future, before you know it, it'll be on your doorstep with machines that are constantly breaking down, that are well past their use-by date, and they're costing more money to maintain than they're worth keeping. So it's something you've got to stay on top of. And clearly here at Sun City, they've got the plans ready and they're enacting that. And part of receiving their couple of new greens mowers is making sure that they continue to deliver a quality product on course. So fantastic and well done to Sun City. Now, I've got to mention a new superintendent's appointment that I've come across, and that is back in Queensland to Maroochy River up on the Sunshine Coast. You might recall I spoke about Maroochy River and their plans moving forward with their course redevelopment works and expansion. Well, just after my previous Walking the Fairways episode, Maroochy River announced the appointment of Paul Macca-McLean as their new superintendent. Paul has made the return to Australia after spending some time in Singapore, and it's great to see him come back to a region that he does know so well, because formerly he was the superintendent at Sanctuary Cove prior to Cameron Smith. But Paul's done a stint overseas, and now he's come back to Maroochy, and he'll be leading the team there as they start to move through this expansion and the next stage of works to the golf course there at Maroochy River. So very exciting times on many fronts for Maroochy River, ladies and gentlemen, moving forward. And if you're a member of the club up there, I tell you now, having Paul as your superintendent, you will see things really start to up and improve, along with a great way of leading the golf course and the golf club through these new works that you've got planned. So exciting stuff, and well done to Paul to see him back in the shores of Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap-up of Australia and New Zealand for this episode of Dint Golf Solutions Walking the Fairways. A big thank you to Superintendent Pete Dunn at Federal Golf Club. It's great to have him on the podcast again. It's great to be down here in Melbourne having a look at some golf courses, being able to add the work that's happening on a couple of tracks at Strathallan and Ranfurly on Walking the Fairways, having seen them firsthand. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I've said to you before, for those of you out there, your clubs and your board members or your superintendents that are doing work on the golf course, and you want to let the people know in the golf world and the golf industry just how you're improving your golf course, feel free to get in touch with me through Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or you can just as easily send me an email to thegolfinggreenkeeper@gmail.com and let me know what's going on, or give me some details of what you're up to. I'd like to get in touch with you so I can share just how you're improving your golf course to make it better for those who come to enjoy the game of golf at your facility. Links in the show notes, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure, as always, you go and check out the show notes to go and see all the clickables that'll be in there, lots of different things that were talked about and mentioned in this episode of the podcast of Walking the Fairways. And, of course, a big thank you to partners Dint Golf Solutions. So make sure you can go and check out their website at dint.com.au and have a look into those tines, those dynamite hollow tines that they have available, and be prepared and start to prepare yourself and get your team ready and your equipment ready for spring renovations. No matter what size renovations you're doing at this time of the year or planning to do at this time of the year coming up very soon, you want to have a look into some of the tines that they have available, because the quality of the materials that are used and the quality of the tines that they have, just high quality stuff. And as you've heard in the past talking to Adam, the long life that they have doing the greens is all important and very, very good when you're going out there, and you don't want any headaches when you're doing renovations. So, ladies and gentlemen, check them out and go and talk to Adam about getting a supply of the tines from Dint Golf Solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave you with it once again. You hit him clean, we'll keep him green. I'll catch up with you very soon.